Have you ever come across someone whose story makes you stop and rethink everything you thought you knew? Milana Vayntrub might not be the first name that pops into your head, but by the end of this video, you'll understand why she's one of the most intriguing and unexpectedly bold personalities out there. What if I told you that one word indecent has been used to describe her in a way that will completely flip your perspective on what it actually means? From starring in commercials to speaking out on global issues, Milana has a way of capturing attention, not because she follows the rules, but because she rewrites them. Stick with me here, because the reason behind this so-called indecency isn't what you think. It's not scandal, drama, or controversy, it's something much deeper and more inspiring. And here's the kicker. If you stay with me till the end, I'll share the one decision Milana made that turned her into an unstoppable force of change. It's something we can all learn from, and it might just change the way you look at your own life. So, are you ready to see why Milana's latest move is captivating people everywhere? Let's get into it. Let's start with the basics. Milana Vayntrub might not be a household name for everyone, but chances are you've seen her before. Remember those AT&T commercials with the friendly and approachable Lily Adams? That's Milana. Her charm wasn't just in the words she spoke, it was in the way she made you feel like you were chatting with a close friend. But here's the thing, Milana is far more than just a face on a screen. She's a powerhouse of talent and passion, someone who wears many hats. Yes, she's an actress, but she's also a comedian, a director, and even an activist. And it's this combination of roles that makes her so fascinating. Now, here's where it gets interesting. While most people might use a platform like hers to play it safe, Milana does the opposite. She pushes boundaries, challenges norms, and refuses to fit into the tidy little box that society often places women in. Her journey from a cheerful commercial icon to an outspoken advocate is nothing short of remarkable. What's even more surprising is how she's turned something as ordinary as a phone ad into a springboard for conversations about things that really matter. And trust me, the choices she's made along the way are anything but ordinary. If you think you know what comes next, stick around, because her story is about to take a surprising turn. When you hear the word indecent, what comes to mind? Scandal? Controversy? Maybe even someone pushing the limits of what's acceptable in all the wrong ways? Well, Milana Vayntrub takes that word and turns it completely upside down. She's not indecent in the way you might expect. There are no tabloid scandals or outrageous antics here. Instead, Milana's indecency lies in her fearless ability to challenge expectations. Here's the twist. Milana refuses to play by the outdated rules that tell women how they should look, act, or speak. In a world where conformity often feels like the easiest path, she takes the harder road. She speaks her mind, she stands up for what she believes in, and she does it all without apology. That kind of boldness. To some, it might seem out of line. To others, it's exactly what we need more of. And the best part, Milana doesn't just break these unspoken rules for the sake of attention. She does it because she knows it's the only way to create real change. Her courage to speak out on issues many shy away from is where the true meaning of indecent comes into focus. It's not about being rebellious for the sake of rebellion, it's about daring to demand better. But what does this look like in practice? How does someone go from being labeled indecent to being an inspiration? Stick with me, because we're about to dive into how Milana's activism reshaped her identity and how it's influencing people far beyond Hollywood. Now, let's talk about something that truly sets Milana apart, her activism. A lot of celebrities speak out on causes, but for Milana, it's not just a passing trend. Her commitment to helping others is personal, passionate, and deeply rooted in her own experiences. One of the most powerful examples of this is her work with refugees. Milana's own family fled to the United States as refugees from the Soviet Union when she was a child. That experience gave her a unique perspective, one that fuels her efforts to support displaced people around the world. And here's what makes her different. Milana doesn't just raise awareness or write a check. She's on the front lines, using her platform to amplify voices that often go unheard. She even co-founded a campaign called Can't Do Nothing, which is aimed at inspiring others to take action for refugees. Through this work, she's raised funds, shared stories, and shown that even small actions can have a big impact. And yet, in an industry obsessed with self-promotion, Milana's approach to activism feels refreshingly authentic. But here's the part that might surprise you: her advocacy hasn't always been met with applause. In fact, she's faced criticism and pushback for being so outspoken. For some, her willingness to challenge the status quo feels uncomfortable. But for Milana, it's not about pleasing everyone. It's about standing up for what's right, no matter how unpopular it might make her. This kind of fearless activism is rare, especially in a world where many prefer to stay quiet. And it's part of what makes her story so compelling. But there's more to her courage than just her work with refugees. Next, we'll look at how Milana tackles another big challenge, one that hits much closer to home for so many of us: the fight for body positivity and self-acceptance. Here's something most people can relate to: the pressure to look perfect. It's everywhere in magazines, on social media, and especially in Hollywood. But Milana Vayntrub has never been one to follow the crowd. Instead, she's using her platform to challenge these unrealistic standards and encourage a different perspective. Milana has been candid about her own struggles with body image. Instead of hiding behind carefully curated photos or pretending those insecurities don't exist, she's chosen to embrace them publicly. She's spoken about how these pressures have affected her and, more importantly, how she's worked to overcome them. In doing so, she's not just inspiring others, she's starting a conversation that a lot of people shy away from. And here's the thing: Milana's approach isn't about preaching perfection. It's about showing that self-worth isn't tied to a size, shape, or appearance. She's made it clear that her value isn't defined by how she looks, and she's unapologetically herself in a world that often demands the opposite. What's truly remarkable is how she's extended this mindset to her work in Hollywood. Milana is breaking the mold by refusing to let the industry dictate her identity. Whether it's rejecting roles that objectify women or calling out harmful practices in entertainment, she's sending a powerful message: you don't have to change who you are to succeed. But what's the cost of standing up to an industry notorious for its obsession with appearances? In the next section, we'll see how Milana's courage to speak out in Hollywood has not only shaped her career but sparked a much-needed conversation about fairness and equality. Hollywood isn't exactly known for being kind to those who challenge the system. It's an industry built on appearances, perfection, and staying within the lines. But Milana Vayntrub, she doesn't follow the script. Instead, she's rewriting it, and it's making waves. Milana has openly shared her experiences with sexism and the unrealistic expectations placed on women in entertainment. She's called out the way women are often reduced to their looks or forced to conform to impossible standards just to get ahead. But instead of quietly accepting it, Milana has chosen to push back. What makes her stand out isn't just her willingness to speak up, but the way she does it. Milana doesn't just point out what's wrong, she demands better. She's used her platform to advocate for fair treatment, not just for herself but for all women in the industry. And she doesn't sugarcoat the truth. Whether it's sharing personal stories of discrimination or calling attention to the lack of diversity behind the scenes, she's not afraid to tackle the tough topics. And while that level of honesty can ruffle feathers, it's also sparked meaningful conversations. Milana's courage has inspired others in Hollywood to speak up, creating a ripple effect that's slowly chipping away at the industry's rigid norms. But what's the reward for taking on such a powerful system? The answer isn't what you'd expect. In the final section, we'll reveal how Milana's bold choices are transforming her legacy and what her story can teach all of us about standing firm in the face of pressure. Milana Vayntrub's story is about so much more than her roles, her activism, or her presence in Hollywood. It's about the example she sets for all of us. She's shown that it's possible to stand your ground, speak your truth, and succeed without compromising who you are. In a world that often tells us to stay quiet and fit in, Milana has become a symbol of what it means to live authentically. Her decision to challenge societal norms, redefine beauty, and demand fairness in Hollywood isn't just bold, it's revolutionary. She's proving that you don't need to be perfect, agreeable, or even universally liked to make a difference. And that's the lesson she leaves us with: the power of unapologetically being yourself. But here's the twist: the impact of Milana's story doesn't end with her. The real takeaway is how her courage can inspire you to challenge your own limits. Whether it's speaking up for what you believe in, embracing who you are, or pushing back against unfair systems, her journey shows that change starts with one brave step. So here's your reward for staying till the end: the reminder that authenticity isn't just a buzzword, it's a superpower. Let Milana's story be the push you need to take that step in your own life. If her boldness can spark change, imagine what yours could do. If you're ready to see more stories like Milana's or share your thoughts on what you've learned today, the next step is simple. Engage with this video. Your voice matters just like hers. Let's keep this conversation going and see where it leads.